Hey there, this is Captain Morris with the City of Newberry Fire Department. Today we're going to be doing a RIT drill. We're going to have our crews enter in, follow a charge line. This one's filled with air. We have a 100-foot charge line on the ground. One of the first things they're going to have to do is navigate 14 3/4 opening with our stud 16 inches on center by 20. So obviously different people are going to have to manage that differently. Just the line going through causes trouble. You can displace your pack, you can take the pack off and move it through, however the crews want to navigate that. Then we have them fall down the line, and we actually have them crawl over, we just have 2 pallets set up, any kind of obstacle that they have to kind of work together. It's just high enough that some people may be able to hop over it, some of them may not. And then we also have our confined space area. So we are actually bringing this firefighter back out through that area. The big difficulty there is trying to keep that face piece from becoming dislodged. So you'll see our crews kind of performing that task and some of the different techniques they employ to use it. Thanks.
Our crews have wax paper on the outside of their face pieces. This works well because it doesn't truly black out the face piece, but it does give decreased visibility to the point that you can only see light. So size up the opening, push through, they do sound as they go through, displace their packs, and then move through the opening, put their pack back on. One of the best ways we found is to use the left side of the pack for displacing and for putting that pack back on. Once the crews have made it through the opening, they're going to follow the charged line. The charged line really is not to simulate that we're fighting fire going through these openings. This drill really is to simulate if there was structural collapse or a change in conditions and navigating around those. The pass device you hear going off in the background is the dummy's pass device. The dummy had the purge valve cracked on the SCBA. This was to encourage what would simulate a respiration rate or a downed firefighter still breathing. So as the crews continue on, that's another element that they have to work through. When placing the dummy, you have 2 options. One is just leave the dummy on the line, as we do with this drill. Another is to add another element to it, and you could actually have the dummy off the line, encouraging the crew to really do the 2 functions of true RIT. One being locating the downed firefighter. Most of the time, when firefighters are calling in a RIT team, they aren't necessarily on a hand line. So the second function of RIT really is retrieving or disentangling or getting that firefighter out in some way. So our crews go ahead and navigate. One of our crew members pulled the dummy back to the line to make contact with the partner, and then the partner continues with a pack conversion, converting the waist strap into a harness.
I'm going to move them further up on that air pack.
With this drill, we do have a designated incident commander that's outside of the area of operation for the drill. This creates another element that is a realistic element of an incident commander trying to gain information. What our crews have found is instead of having one designated person operate the radio, basically the person that is not doing essential functions takes radio operations. Essentially every time you have to take your hands off, whether it's a buckle or a harness or a rope, you have to kind of reset when you go back to what you were doing. So that's another thing that's very helpful for our crews is swapping out radio communications, just making sure it's coordinated. For our entanglement prop, we actually removed all the rope out of the entanglement prop because we wanted this to simulate a structural collapse where there's pancaking of the ceiling or the floors. So we wanted to provide more of a confined space than truly an entanglement. When lifting a downed firefighter, many people are taught the Denver drill, which is an effective means based on a scenario that did happen. However, we've got to encourage our crews to think outside of the box and consider other options as well. This crew specifically flipped the dummy over where the pack was on the back and essentially lifted him up by being on either side. If you have room, use the room. If you can get a backboard in there, we could slide our victim face down on the backboard and simply lift a backboard up. So it's important, even though we do have a drill specifically designed for lifting a downed firefighter, to consider really what is the most effective thing for this space and this operation. So one firefighter goes ahead and takes the dummy and uses that momentum just to get some forward motion, while the other firefighter traces the line back to determine their original point, their egress point. Once they have their bearings, they're going to set up and prepare to move our victim through that opening. So one firefighter is going to go ahead and take that pack off, navigate back through that opening, and prepare to go ahead and receive the victim through the opening. This crew opted not to turn the pass device off. It does create a lot of environmental noise, so it may be something you would want to consider turning off. One of the disadvantages being that it does take time away from navigating a hazard or getting that downed firefighter out. One thing to encourage the crews is to make sure that they have a contingency plan in place. A lot of times the desire to see something through all the way will keep crews stuck on one tactic or one idea. Remember, we're trying to navigate around the problem. We're not going to let a problem navigate us. Another element of this drill is air management and how to effectively manage air. At this point, the crew uses the buddy breather. They know that the drill is almost complete, but they want to tie in due to that low air alarm going off. This may be something you might want to consider: a toxic cylinder change or taking an SCBA. But this is a really good way to see how effective truly is your crew with a RIT pack. Is it something that you can feasibly do with 2 people or even 3?